We are live. This is Mr. Brown with his brand new mic. I hope this sounds pretty good. It was a bargain off Facebook Marketplace. Superb. I love it. We are live. Good afternoon, everybody. What can I say? New Year's Eve. The eve of the best year to come ever compared to this fucking shite.
You can't imagine how it can be worse, really, can you?
I hear a voice in the background. Demon. I have been dreading saying this. I've been practicing all day. It reminds me when I went back to my old DJ days where I had to introduce a Hungarian pop group. I spent 3 hours practicing. Here we go. This is where I get up. Demonscythe Synthwave. How you doing, my friend?
First time. How about that? I'm good. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm feeling energized and alert after going for a 12-mile bike ride earlier on in the freezing cold. Yeah.
I didn't know you're into your push bikes.
Well, not normally. I normally go running, but I've got an injury in my ankle, so you've got to stay away from the impact. So the bike is a good alternative.
And for the folks at home, what is the injury? It does sound quite bad.
It's getting better, I think. But I was working recently. I was doing like night shifts to get a bit of extra money, and I was pulling a steel cage behind me, like rolling steel cage full of goods, and I was doing it like directly behind me. My heel was sort of too close to the bottom of this cage, and it collided with the back of my heel, and it kind of and I think I may have done something to the bone. I'm not sure, but it's caused a bit of swelling and stuff, and I have to be very careful when I put a shoe on, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so you'll only know once the initial swelling has gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the discoloration's gone, thankfully, so I'm just dealing with the swelling at the moment.
Is it where there's a blame, there's a claim?
I could, I suppose, do that, but I'm not sure if it's going to be more complicated than it's worth, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I did one of those many years ago. It's a nightmare. It was actually worse than the 6 months off work.
Oh God, right.
That's how bad it was. Once the lawyers, and this is a top tip, everybody, once the lawyers are involved, it's the road to ruin, because it doesn't matter what it is. There's only one It's only the lawyers who win. Right. Nobody else. Always the lawyers. So yeah.
And of course, once you started it, you opened Pandora's box then as well.
Oh yeah, it's it's just like a snowball going down the hill. So yes, yes, it soon gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Anyway, enough of that. So Demonscythe Synthwave. How did we meet? Because we've met only very, very recently through a kind of a mutual associate or friend.
Indeed, yeah. It was just doing mutual design work for a certain other YouTuber, and collaborating on a live stream with them, and then staying in touch ever since then. Since we're both kind of in the design persuasion, kind of always helps. It always helps to have other people in your network that are that minded, and ever since then, has it been about 3 or 4 weeks now?
I think we've. It was October, I do believe. It's
October, that long ago
already. It was. Yeah, I know the lockdown time. It's just. It's. It just feels
time dilation, isn't it? It's just a weird.
Yeah. Anybody who's been locked down since March, it just feels like the longest weekend ever.
Yeah, it's a good point.
When's it going to be Monday morning, please?
It's a perpetual Sunday night, isn't it?
That's very deep, ladies and gentlemen. When is Monday? When's the dawn of Monday coming? Because we're just stuck in this never ending weekend. And I've had enough. I lost my job, so if that isn't bad enough, but I know there's people who are worse off than me, and it's just, when is it going to end?
Yeah, I was thinking that on my ride earlier on. I was just thinking, just seeing people walking about, going for a walk, just out on the street and out in the countryside, just going for bunches of people going for a walk. And I was just thinking, this is what people used to do. I don't really see this in town anywhere. People just going out for a walk. Everyone just stays indoors at the moment. And then it made me think, are we ever going to return to that kind of normality of looking back on, you remember that pandemic, remember that time when everyone had to stay indoors? That was a right laugh, wasn't it? Look at us all now, back to normal again, socializing in beer gardens and walking around without masks on.
I've been reliably informed that this pandemic isn't even as bad as some of the previous ones. So
right.
Can you imagine how, I think, was it the Spanish flu epidemic about 100 years ago? Can you imagine how bad that was then, where millions died?
That was a huge culling of the population, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you, on a serious note here, do you think these kind of virus things are the nature's way of culling things? And I know it sounds bad, but when you get to our age, you just become a pragmatist and just see things for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that? That it's just nature's way?
I think there's a certain amount of truth to that. Yeah. I mean, it is completely random. If it is down to just nature and it isn't some kind of preordained conspiracy with some government somewhere. But if it is nature-based, solely nature-based, then, it is a completely random thing. It's like a lottery thing. You never know when one's going to drop. I think a few years back there was, of course, we've had SARS and we've had like super bad flu in the UK when suddenly everyone started getting flu jabs out of nowhere. That never happened before, and suddenly everyone's getting flu jabs. Things like this. There's always something going on, it seems, and this one is just the widest spread I think I've ever known anything like this.
I was one of the unlucky ones who, when was it the Aussie flu and the swine flu was around?
Oh yeah,
I caught them both, and fucking hell, I was ill. The Aussie flu one, it was this. I can say it now because I've left the company. This fucking wanker at work, sales director. Being a fucking hero. Ooh, look at fucking me, I'm a hero. Didn't have to come in. Sales guy, could do it from home. Big fucking hero. Yeah. Just came in and just systematically fucking spread it around the building.
Oh, God.
And unfortunately, the people who caught it were the people of the older generation like myself. Mm-hmm. Another company director and this old lady who worked in reception. There was about 4 or 5 of us who caught it. We were off for 2 weeks. We were fucked.
Oh dear.
And then when I said anything, when I came back, I said, "Well, fucking prove it then, you fucking," like that.
Oh, geez.
Well, I'm sorry, pal. It's been fucking proven that with all this stuff going on that you're a fucking super spreader and you can go fuck yourself for all that. Right. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not bitter, but there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so easily done. This one guy just came in one morning being a hero, just laid out half a dozen people.
Jeez. Probably just thought, I've had an extra strong lemsip, I can do anything. And then just came in and just systematically daubed his germs on everything he touched.
No, he wasn't thinking that. He was just, managing director, like the boss. Aren't I fucking marvelous? I'm the company man through and through.
Trying to set an example, yeah.
What a wanker.
Right.
Okay, so my friend Demon, I'm gonna call you Demon. So, going back to our our friend of a very, very big YouTube channel. Shall we mention him? I think we should.
You can go ahead and do that, I think, yeah.
No, I love Doomcock. I don't know about you. I just think he's fantastic.
He's an extraordinary talent, that guy.
He is. I kind of I stumbled upon him through Gary at Nerdrotic, who kind of said, you must check out Doomcock and stuff like this, that he's just apoplectic about Star Trek. And he even Gary mentioned Robert Meyer Burnett as well. So for me, it was like Gary was the meeting room to all the doors of where to
the lobby.
Yeah, he was the lobby. Gary at the lobby. Yeah, so was you the same? How did you kind of? Because we'll get on to all this Fandom Menace stuff in a moment. Because as I said, I'm just kind of new to all this, but I think you've been kicking around for a while with this, haven't you?
I first learned of Doomcock when it must have been a few days after I got back from the cinema after seeing The Last Jedi, and my enragement and pissed off state caused me to kind of seek solace online to see what reviewers were covering it and see who were sharing my opinions, because no one else seemed to. It was crazy. So I just did a random search on YouTube for reviewers, because I'd kind of there were a few people that I followed already, but I sort of looked at their reviews first, and I thought, well, they don't seem right, and then carried on looking, and randomly I kind of picked up these new lower subscriber channels that I've never seen before, just after a little bit of a dig around on YouTube. And Doomcock was one of them, and I thought, what's all this about then? He's kind of got like a mask on and a weird kind of animated background and stuff. I'll have a quick look. It might be just like a stupid gimmick and someone thinking they're funny and they're not at all, and I'll just turn it straight off again. So
really,
so I switched the video on. I think he was having a rant about Last Jedi, I think it was.
Okay.
And I just found it really kind of cathartic listening to him. I didn't quite, his humor and stuff didn't quite.
How do you mean by cathartic?
It was refreshing to hear someone with my own opinion,
right?
But also the fact that he was really laying into it, and he was kind of like a V for Vendetta kind of character, if you like.
Okay, yeah.
Like an anonymous sort of agent provocateur,
right?
With a pirate channel sort of invading networks kind of sort of feel to it. But the humor didn't really grab me or anything to begin with. I just thought, it's just someone who's sharing my opinion. But and then I watched some others of his videos after that, and his humor sort of came round, and it's like listening to a song 3 times. You get it then, don't you?
You do, yes.
Thing, and I carried on watching, thinking, right, I get what he's doing now. I get the whole puppet sidekick thing. I get the sound effects. I get and I just got a kind of, it clicked what was going on inside his head sort of clicked with me. And it's like certain characters in comedy, that you don't quite understand to begin with, and then after you watch them a little bit, then you think, right, now I know what they're trying to get at. And after that point, then that was it. I was in, and it was just every video he released, I was just like, yes, this is brilliant, this is great. And I kept sending the links out to everyone I knew. And I was just a permanent fixture on YouTube. It was subscribe. Every single time a video came up, it was boom, straight on,
That would have been 3 years ago now, wouldn't it?
That would have been just after Christmas 2017.
Yeah,
so then I've known him for all of 2018, all of 2019,
wow,
and now all of 2020. So yeah.
Yeah, it was his 3rd anniversary, when we was on the show.
Yeah.
And that was that was the October before the Last Jedi came out, wasn't it? Because he was just going mental over Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, because Discovery was released a little bit before that, I remember. And it's crazy because I was watching Discovery and actually really enjoying it, because I'd kind of disassociated that show from anything that had come before. And I was a massive fan of Next Gen and all,
Oh yeah, same here, mate. Same here.
DS9, And I watched this, and it's kind of, I was just glad it wasn't the J.J. Abrams movies. And I was watching it thinking, this actually seems quite good. I really like the effects. The science actually seems to make sense. And I really wasn't thinking about it that deeply. I was just enjoying it for what it was, kind of thing, completely detached from any Star Trek that had come before, like a complete reboot, basically.
Right.
And I was enjoying it in a different aspect to other Star Trek fans that kind of want it to be, or were seeing it as part of the existing timeline or the existing canon.
Okay.
So I was able to enjoy it a lot more than a lot of other people. And then when it came to the end of the season, me and my housemate were like, yeah, it was great. Really enjoyed that, And then I looked online. There was all these people reviewing it, like Dave Cullen from Computing Forever and quite a few other reviewers that I can't quite remember the names of now that have kind of faded into oblivion.
Mr. H, Dave Cullen, all those lot.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Mr. H was doing Alien reviews at the time.
Oh,
Alien movies. Yeah, I don't think he'd seen it back then. But there was another guy as well. And I can't remember who he was, but Dave Cullen was one of the main ones that I watched review. I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. I really enjoyed it, And it was like how a lot of people have perceived The Last Jedi and Disney Star Wars. They were like, these normies, they're all like, I really like that. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it's a load of rubbish. You're just a hater, that kind of thing. And I was kind of coming in from that angle. And I was
same here.
Yeah, and only after listening to an analysis about it and listening to Doomcock and Gary's reviews of it and other people's reviews and opinions and like Midnight's Edge and Robert Meyer Burnett, etc. And then I look back and I think, Jesus, what a load of shite that was, And it's like it's not really any better than the crap J.J. Abrams sort of bad reboot movies,
Yeah.
They really pissed me off. Those movies really pissed me off.
I didn't put two and two together with regards Michael Burnham and stuff, that effectively they were kind of putting this strong female lead in the, it didn't trigger me either. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And when I was watching it, I thought, they've updated it. There's a little bit more. I kind of looked at it as being Certificate 18 or restricted Star Trek.
Well, I thought of it as post Battlestar, post Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
stuff.
Kind of keep it, a little bit more gritty. But I didn't twig at all. I just thought it's Star Trek. It's not quite my thing. But let's hope for season 2. I don't know if you felt the same.
Yeah, well, I was really pleased with season 1 in general, and as like a detached thing from anything that had come before, I was quite pleased with it. And only after kind of analyzing it and listening to other reviewers and kind of mulling over their opinions and things, that stuff that I'd never even thought about.
Right?
Did my opinion completely change on it? And then I thought, you know what, season 2 is going to come around, and I found out that Kurtzman had ripped off. And I will say this, I won't say allegedly, I will say he ripped off Anar Sabdine's game that he made. Blatantly ripped it off. Blatantly. And I will happily say that he did rip it off. Now, I'm not saying I'm not pulling any punches on that. That is blatantly ripped off.
Well, I think it's commonly known.
Yeah. And after learning that, then I turned against it, and I just thought, this is guy's scum. This entire thing is an absolute farce. And I just never went back for season 2. And I kind of caught reviews from Doomcock and Gary on the Inquisition about it. And I was just sitting here sort of doing my own thing, listening to them in the background and sort of shaking my head and smiling, thinking, I'm glad I'm not invested in this. Season 1 was kind of a fun little ride to begin with, but now I look back on it and I now know it's all plagiarized. No, forget it all. I don't care.
Yeah, I must admit, when season 2 came on, I know, again, everybody's just been going mental over it and just saying this is not Star Trek, and an AI that's not quite an AI that wants to. I didn't see any of that. I was just transfixed by all the twinkly lights, like a rabbit in the not realizing what was going on.
That's what they do now. It's an entertainment of bewilderment. They just throw all the SFX at you, get you to sit there and enjoy the light show, and cut from one thing to another so quickly that you don't have enough time to analyze what you just see.
Well, then they are the masters of their trade, because I've seen it twice now, and while I enjoyed it as a piece of entertainment, it's not the Star Trek I love. I don't know. It's just. One thing, it's a season arc, isn't it? And I think traditionally Star Trek is episodic.
It should be, yeah, with maybe 1, 2, or maybe 3 kind of arcs in there as well. But traditionally, it's just one and done with each episode, isn't it? Normally,
yeah, and then something maybe, I don't know, the next season they would arc back to something the previous season, and kind of. But just to have effectively a 10-hour, it's basically a 10-hour film, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah.
And when you see all the money that's gone into it,
oh, ridiculous.
Can you imagine what it would have been like with the correct people behind it?
Yeah, with the right writing and the people that kept the continuity and the lore back when we were in the 90s and watching Next Gen and DS9, etc. With them in control, oh my god, it would have been incredible. I think.
I know some people might go, "Oh, listen to them old farts. They just can't accept progress." But
it's not progress, though, is it?
It's not. No, it's gone back. I know.
Yeah.
I know. The thing that has been said about Star Trek many times is Star Trek is an optimistic world that's left all this petty bullshit behind.
Yes, absolutely.
And all I've seen on these new Star Trek series is today's bullshit in the 24th century.
It's nihilism.
It's not Star Trek. It's not Star Trek.
No, it's not. They've taken the whole post Battlestar grittiness too far. Battlestar was like that for a reason, because it was kind of like Earth but elsewhere in the galaxy.
Battlestar was a breath of fresh air at the time.
It was. I as much as I loved Star Trek, I found it way too clinical to a degree, and way too kind of detached from reality almost. And not, I don't mean our everyday present day reality. I mean, simple things like everything seems so a bit too easy for everybody, and a bit too clean, and a bit too
clinical.
And a bit, I don't mind that. The ship's internal cleaning systems will fix it all. And no one ever gets their hands dirty or anything, that kind of thing. And I just thought, man, this is not what I want sci-fi to be, really. I'd love some like really cool camera angles and lighting, and a bit more special effect, a bit more action, but not taking away the essence of what made Star Trek great.
Right.
And when Battlestar came along, I was just like, geez, man, this is going to change everything. This is what I've wanted for so long. It reminded me a lot of Space Above and Beyond. I don't know if you ever used to watch that.
I saw that, yes. I saw that, yes. The
I love that
one and only season.
Oh, tragic that it got cancelled, but my God, that was great, that show. The writing, the acting, the effects, even though the effects were kind of like bad video game graphics compared to today, it was just it worked. It was so great, and the aliens in it were phenomenal. The practical effects were great, and I was just nothing but a massive fan of that when it was on, and I was gutted when it got cancelled. And Battlestar kind of continued that spirit for me of that kind of that realistic grittiness of how it would be in space, really, and war would be in conflict and things, and it wouldn't necessarily be everything's perfectly clean and everyone's healthy and everyone's you've just been blinded, and we're not. That's all right. Just go to the med lab and we'll holographically remove it and completely reconstruct your eye and put it back in the space of about 10 minutes. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And the holographic doctor will do it all, etc. And everything's just so convenient, in Star Trek. And I think that it took away a lot of relatability, to sci-fi with the Next Generation, etc., and ones that came after it. It was so detached from certain hardships that we face. I think audiences found it a little bit not alienating, but a little bit hard to identify with.
Right.
And shows like Battlestar, they kind of brought that Black Hawk Down kind of aesthetic to it. And it was that was the breath of fresh air that you were talking about. And I just thought, man, just imagine if Star Trek took this approach, how incredible it would be, with everything that we loved about Star Trek previously, but they brought this realism to it as well. And I think Stargate, I really loved watching Stargate.
Same here. I love Stargate.
Yeah, it was so entertainingly, brilliantly well done. But again, I had problems with it, just like I did with Star Trek. Like, how is everyone perfectly okay with exactly the same gravity? Everyone breathes the same air. Everyone works on the same time clock. Everyone speaks English, and I had all these issues. And I'm like, I know it's sci-fi and you're kind of supposed to turn blind eye to certain things, but these things really niggle at me. I'm a bit of a a stickler when it comes to this. I'm hard sci-fi at heart, and I really wish more shows would adapt that would deal with those issues like Star Trek. I wish that Star Trek would have dealt more with language breakdowns and language barriers and things.
Star Trek have the universal translator.
They do, and I thought, yes, that is kind of a save they've got there, but how, I don't understand how you look at somebody that's completely alien species and would never speak English, and their mouth is forming English words, not just speaking the words. Their mouth is forming those words as well. How does the translator work in that respect? And I'm a real stickler for this kind of thing. I'm a real kind of like, I'm so difficult to please, but that's the kind of thing that bugged me all those years.
If TV was like that, I don't think we'd get any TV. They have to take certain liberties, and Gary and Doomcock have said this. No, and I totally agree. No story is totally without plot holes.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the goodwill of the audience to allow certain discrepancies,
Absolutely. I agree.
And if the writers are blatantly taking the piss or are just so poor, like Discovery with the magic bullshit machine, it's like, no. There's it's like I love Space 1999, and going back to the this is obviously 1970s, mid-70s sci-fi. All the aliens either looked humanoid and spoke English.
Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah, exactly. You don't think about this back then, though. They didn't think about it, did they? They just got on with it.
Well, yeah, no, but there's, you just accept it because the story is more important. When the story doesn't become important, and it's the, as you know, with Discovery, the narrative, all this bullshit they're peddling, it's like you just think that it's not sci-fi now. Discovery, it just seems to me with obviously I bailed out this series. Everything just seems to be a magic bullshit machine.
Yeah,
and it's not sci-fi.
No, I think, is it written by like a bunch of women in a back room somewhere that kind of used to work on the CW? I don't know what it is. It sounds like it.
And men as well. Let's be fair.
Right. Yeah.
Let's be fair. Come on. Let's be fair. Yeah. Let's be fair. Thing is, some of the was it Michelle Paradis? She is a sci-fi writer.
Right.
She wrote some. I think she wrote some really good episodes for TNG.
Okay.
And it seems to me she's just been doing some soap opera Discovery.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's been forced to dumb it down, or I don't know. It's just we want to be entertained. And if there's one year where people need to be entertained,
escapism.
I think it's this year.
Is it ever? Yeah.
Yeah, and I know things are planned way in advance with what's going on, but I think with regards to the Mandalorian, we've relatively been entertained, which makes it stand out above the rest. It's not been brilliant. I mean, it's not been perfect, but it's been good. You've been wanting to watch next week's episode.
Absolutely. You are there every week, ready to watch the next episode. So many other TV shows I've seen, or that I've been exposed to, I'm kind of like, I'll watch it, and then I always find something else to do, and then I just never continue with it. I just, they've just never really hit with me. But of course, Mandalorian has kind of got the inbuilt Star Wars crack, if you like. So it's kind of going to get me to come back in. And I know it's made by people that actually care about the show. So immediately, straight away, I'm going to be there day one,
So going back to the sci-fi, are you Star Wars or Star Trek, or which one was your favourite?
I would probably. I think Star Wars is just a little bit ahead.
Okay.
But I mean, I was 4 when I saw it in the cinema in 78.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've kind of just been. It's been in my blood. It's been in my DNA. So
Yeah.
But then, of course, before I even saw Star Wars, I was watching Star Trek on TV in the 60s Star Trek. So that's in me as well. And then Star Trek: The Motion Picture came out, which I loved. Star Trek 2, which I went to the cinema to watch.
Oh, wow.
When I was a little kid. Was it a 1980 or something? I can't remember.
1982.
82, okay. Yeah, blew me away. Utterly blew me away.
Great film.
I think it was Star Trek. I think it was The Wrath of Khan that was really when I was absorbed into Star Trek, and I was just such a massive fan from that point onwards. The movies, I think the aesthetic of the movies and the way everything was kind of so serious and a lot more dark and realistic, and the bridges were kind of a bit more moodily lit and stuff. And I just thought, man, this is really getting me, I'm really there with them in this, whereas the 60s TV series was a little bit too brightly lit and stuff, and it kind of looked too unlike how I would expect a submarine in space to look, if you like. So, and then of course,
obviously that's down to the budget. And
absolutely, and I think the budget helps so much with that. But back then, TV shows didn't really have much of a budget, so you kind of can't, you can't criticize too much.
One of the biggest it's a minor gripe with Star Trek, the original series, that if somebody have had just a moment of thought, it could have been so different. All the instrument panels that are flashing different colors. All that somebody had to do, and this is obviously 1960s thinking, all that somebody had to do was to put those where all the press buttons are, the physical switches, and then do them. Obviously, the actor would press the lights like they did in Next Generation. So effectively, it was like bringing, like the touch screen instruments. All that somebody had to do would be to think about doing that, and then obviously put a sound effect over, like they did in TNG. Instead of having all the, like all these big, massive physical press switches that went clunk, 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 clunk. Which straight away you wouldn't think, well, it's not going to be like that in the 24th century, is it?
Right. So
if somebody had been watching that in the 60s with all these kind of touch-sensitive buttons that made beep, 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 they'd have gone, fucking hell, this is amazing.
Yeah, right.
And it was just a simple little kind of, somebody just had to think outside the box. And the look and feel of the show could have been totally different.
I think, because all it takes is one little aesthetic direction of the art style in the production design, and then everything else can feed off that and completely spiral off it and change the look of everything from that one tiny little thing. I think they were very much going for the whole the way that Jerry Anderson's style looked in all his TV shows like Thunderbirds and Stingray. They all had like big tactile switches and chrome everywhere. And
they were limited to what I would imagine what products they had to build the set.
Yeah,
but it was almost like, for me, it was the flashing lights. It was almost like they were there, but no cigar, and it's a shame because it could have just totally made it feel more futuristic than just like big clunky switches.
Yeah, I need to sort of kind of go back and watch the movies and find out how they look different with all the control panels. They don't have the kind of flashing bald sweet look that the control panels had in the 60s TV series.
They don't. I think they still have obviously the big switches, but there are kind of lots of more, especially towards the later films. You have the like the screen printed plexiglass things where they just press buttons and stuff. Because obviously, somebody, I think, was it Herman Zimmerman who did all the TNG stuff?
Yeah.
With all the kind of glass panels that are touch button. Just by doing that guy earned his money.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, when we look at it now, I remember when I watched BBC Click like years ago, like 10 plus years ago. They were talking about like technological innovations like they do, and they were talking about ultra mobile PCs. And no one knows what ultra mobile PCs were because they never really took off. They kind of were released, and people sort of kind of looked at them and thought, "No, I don't see the point of that," and then abandoned them. And they were kind of like a middle step between laptops and tablets.
Right.
So they had a screen, but you couldn't use touch screen controls. It was just there were controls down either side of the screen, and that was it. But it was like a tablet kind of thing, you know. So like think of like a laptop, but without the keyboard and with like tactile buttons down either side of the screen to kind of go through the menus and things. Might have had a stylus, I can't remember, but anyway, these things were being pushed on Click as like the next thing, you know, like ultra mobile PCs. Look at them, they're great. And then like in a few weeks down the line, they featured this new technological innovation by Microsoft called Microsoft Surface, and it was a table with touch sensitive glass on it that you could multi-touch with your fingers and spiral things around and zoom in and pull out and you know, move things around really easily, just from really intuitively by fingers with your fingers. And I was watching it go, whoa! It blew my mind when I saw it. You know, I was thinking, wow, look at that! That is wow. When can we have this technology? When can we have it? I want it now. I want it now. And then, of course, about 2 or 3 years later, the iPhone was released with that technology in it. And
when sorry to interrupt. When you think about it, the iPad was invented on TNG.
Yeah, because they're walking around with the kind of little tablet computers.
Yeah.
And you know, we're just doing that now without even thinking about it. But back then, I remember watching it, going, "Wow, my God, look at that! It's like so thin and tiny, and he's carrying it around. Oh my God, you know!" And now we're just like, "Yeah, and what? You know, it's just like a bit of paper."
I think whoever came up with the idea, the production designer, whoever came up with the idea for the tablet on TNG, is the real person who invented the tablet. Steve Jobs invented the technology to put into the already invented case.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not sure if Steve Jobs is responsible, but I think
Well, it is Apple, isn't it? Who effectively they invented the. Because I remember when they unveiled the tablet, everybody's thinking, "This ain't going to catch on, is it?"
Yeah, right. Yeah. What's the point of that? It's just a big phone, you know.
And then, yeah. Again, Steve Jobs was right, wasn't he?
I think because there wasn't a need for a tablet, but he made the tablet attractive to people, and therefore people wanted the tablet, and therefore a market sprang up for it.
Apple are very good at doing such things.
Yeah, like he said, you know, people don't know what they want until you give it to them.
The thing is, it's the touch screen phone and tablet is the ultimate reward system for the brain.
Yeah, it's like the direct feedback, isn't it? The immediate result that you see at the end of your finger.
Which I would assume they didn't know at the time.
No, not at all. That's not really what they were thinking at all. They were just thinking of portability and convenience. That's all they were thinking. They didn't know about the dopamine hit that you get from it.
Yeah, and I personally think it's the greatest invention, but it's the worst invention.
Yeah, yeah. It's great for a lot of things, but unfortunately, the human brain being what it is, there has to be a caveat to it. You're right.
Indeed. So going back to the Star Trek films, which is your favorite Star Trek film?
It's got to be Wrath of Khan. Obviously, everyone says that.
Film.
But I've always adored The Voyage Home.
Right.
Star Trek 4.
Yeah. That was a very. I did a live stream a few months ago discussing 3 and 4, and 2, 3, and 4 were a. How can I describe it? An organic trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely. They've really flowed well together, didn't they?
It just they just kind of. I would imagine they didn't go into Star Trek 2 thinking of going into number 3 with Spock, because as far as they were concerned, Nimoy, that was it for him.
Yeah.
And then when he, obviously the story is, when he saw the reaction to his death on screen and what it meant to people, I think that was his epiphany, wasn't it? Of, wait a minute, this, I'd be a fucking idiot to walk away from this.
I think that, yeah, you might be right. I think he might have realized how culturally massive and important the character was, and how important he was as an actor as well.
It is. My icon, live long and prosper. It's so embedded in. It's just, for me, this was the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars. This kind of deep, live long and prosper, this kind of peace and long life stuff.
Yeah, it was the whole the philosophical side of sci-fi.
And this was Leonard Nimoy who brought this in, because he was Jewish, wasn't he?
Was he? I didn't know.
Yeah, and that's the Vulcan salute is a Jewish salute. Is
Oh wow.
a Jewish gesture. I may be wrong. If I am, please correct me. But I'm sure it's something to do with that. It effectively is peace and long life, and I just totally I just totally got that. Whereas Star Wars is more kind of, it is magical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of got 1 foot in Lord of the Rings and 1 foot in space, hasn't it?
Yes, and I liked the 1 foot in space.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jedi stuff. Yeah. I can understand why people like it, but I think maybe there's about 4 years between you and I in age. And when you said when you were the right age to watch Star Wars,
if you call it the right age, yeah, 4.
Well, I think that is a great age just to look at the screen and go, gurgle, gurgle, gurgle.
Yeah, my brain was being programmed,
overloaded.
Every scene that movie.
Yeah. Whereas
as a nurturing sort of empty mind, ready to soak up information and stimulus. Yeah.
Whereas I was at the stage where I'd seen the Star Trek on BBC TV and the Space 1999 stuff, so I was in with the Star Trek stuff.
Yeah,
and I think people of my age, I know Doomcock and I have. I think he may have a couple more years on me. I know we're similar ages. So again, with what I've said, that's the Star Trek thing, isn't it? He saw Star Trek first, and for him, he loves Star Wars. I love Star Wars. It's great. He's like myself. He's more Star Trek because of he was at the right age to see it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if I was your age, we'd be just waxing lyrical now about Star Wars between us.
Yeah.
And Star Trek for me is fantastic. And Star Wars was just, it felt like a sci-fi bonus at the time.
Right, yeah. I love the way that it kind of, because I'd been already introduced to Star Trek, but I love the way Star Wars kind of like played it a bit more fast and loose. It was a bit more kind of a Western and a bit more space magic and a bit more unquantifiable features and dimensions that Star Trek did not have at all. New stuff that we'd never seen before. The whole spirituality to it and the magic and the dirty kind of gritty grubbiness and all that kind of stuff. It looks real, it's so incredibly real.
The thing I like, bearing in mind all the Star Wars films were filmed in the UK.
Yeah.
Effectively with the special effects, because the X-wing fighters and the Star Destroyers and all the spaceships are basically the same people who designed the Jerry Anderson stuff and the Space 1999 stuff. So a lot of the guys who worked on the practical effects back then were guys from that kind of camp. So you've got that kind of gritty, kind of practical level of spaceships,
right?
And Brian Johnson, who created this Eagle transporter for Space 1990, one of the greatest spaceships ever.
Yeah, so distinctive, isn't it?
It is. He did all the. I think he was unavailable. He was unavailable for Star Wars because they were shooting season 2 or finishing off season 2 of Space 1999. So he came on board for all the Empire Strikes Back stuff, and they're just practical, and they look like they would be real.
Oh yeah,
they look like they would be real, and you can imagine them flying around in a not too distant future.
Yeah, I think it was coming off the back of movies like Silent Running as well, which is very similar in look to as far as ships go, with greeblies everywhere on the models, and just so much detail and nondescript sort of. What does that bit do on that ship? Like, who cares? It just looks great. Yeah. Just covered in kind of detail and knobbly kind of structures and things, and you just think, well, yeah, it's it's a spaceship. That's exactly how it would look, and it's that whole almost like an oil rig, flying oil rig.
Very, I've used this word before. Very organic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just feel very organic,
functional.
Yes. Would you like to tell the ladies and gentlemen which spacecraft you got for Christmas?
I got a Battlestar Galactica Mark II Viper.
I saw the picture. It's very good.
I was amazed by Eagle Moss as well. It's the first ship I've ever got.
Wow.
Yeah. Last Christmas they had a flash sale on. They were selling them for half price, and I missed the bloody sale.
Oh, what?
And I was like, I was gutted. For the whole year now, I've been waiting for them to do another sale, and they haven't done one featuring this. And in the end, and I got a little bit of money for Christmas, I'm glad to say. And I pulled the trigger in the end and just went, that's it. I'm just getting it. I've been lusting over this for a whole year, and I haven't bought it. I'm just going to get it now and be done with it. And I'm so glad I did, because I just can't take my eyes off it. It's sitting there on its stand at the moment.
It's nice.
It's big as well, man. It's like a foot long or something. It's crazy.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's like weighty. It's die cast. It feels like a premium quality item. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't move. There's no features on it or anything. There's no landing gear or anything, which is a shame.
Yeah.
That would be perfect. But as it is, as a display piece, it's perfect. And I love the Mark II version from the 2000 series. It sort of took the original Viper, the Mark I from the 70s series, and kind of just sort of improved it a little bit and smoothed off edges and made it look a bit sleeker. And it's just the perfect version of the Viper, as far as I'm concerned. It's just great.
It was very good how they. It was Ralph McQuarrie, wasn't it? It was very. I must admit, the last few Ralph McQuarrie, the name Ralph McQuarrie, does spring up a lot on these podcasts. He's just done so many great ships. We were talking about the USS Discovery is based on his design for Planet of the Titans, the Star Trek film that never happened.
Oh, right. That was the whole, what was it called? Star Trek
Planets of the Titans.
Yeah, it was. I never heard it called Planet of the Titans.
It was before Phase 2, because it was going to be. It was going to be before Phase 2.
Yeah,
it was going to be a feature film that never happened. So obviously that sat on the shelf for 40 years until it was kind of brought out again under the guise of Discovery.
That was one of the things that kind of that got my attention for Discovery, was the look of the Discovery itself. Thinking, oh my god, it looks just like the sort of modelled Enterprise from Phase 2. I think, oh yeah, they got me on side straight away. You know?
He did all the Battlestar Galactica stuff. You know, like the Cylon Raider, the Viper, and obviously I think it was the Gemini shuttle. He did all that stuff, and obviously the Battlestar.
Did all the Buck Rogers ships as well, I think.
He did, yeah. The Buck Rogers Starfighter was the rejected design for the original Battlestar Viper.
Wow, the Thunderfighter, yeah. Oh, and it looks so great, man.
Yeah, the Starfighter's fantastic. I even when I was a kid, my sister bought me the monogram model.
Monogram model, wow.
Yeah, they were the main ships were the Starfighter and do you remember the Pirate Marauder?
Yeah. Was it a trident kind of shape?
Yeah, with the and the kind of very upright cockpit.
Yes,
I had the model of that also. So yeah, I was well into Buck Rogers. Buck Rogers was you admit the spaceships from that era with Ralph McQuarrie, because obviously he did the redesigned Enterprise, which was 1979 as well.
Oh, the
refit, refit. Yeah. It's all Ralph McQuarrie stuff. Just even if you've noticed as well, the last few episodes of The Mandalorian, you know the episode with Bill Burr where he's in the transport thing carrying all the chemicals or whatever to the processing factory.
Of the fuel, Rhydonium fuel, yeah.
The drivers' outfits. Do you remember those? Yeah, with the helmets. Those were all based off the Ralph McQuarrie stuff.
Well, I didn't know that.
And you got to admit that they looked fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
The production on Mandalorian is just fantastic, especially when
you can't take that away from it at all. It's just absolutely spot on, isn't it, all the way through? I mean, it really shames the aesthetic for the sequel trilogy, the Disney trilogy rather, with the Apple Eye Troopers. Oh god, they're horrible.
The lazy ass design,
smirking duck troopers, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. I must admit, when the trailers came out for that originally. When the stormtroopers are going down in the drop ship at the beginning, I thought, okay, this could be quite good, but it wasn't.
Ultimately, no, sadly.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of goodwill for Force Awakens. There was a receptive audience.
Yeah, they're trying to bait the audience a little bit by saying, "Oh, we're using practical effects and we're using original film." Saying, "Oh, we're doing all the stuff that George Lucas didn't do for the prequels because everyone hated the prequels, right? So now we're going against all that, and everyone was like, "Oh, wow," that was a massive bait and switch, wasn't it? That was a huge dupe, I think.
I think if we was to have a conversation about that, it's stuff that's not been said 1,000 times already. So
I know,
it's a shame. Although with the Mandalorian the other week, I call it the Luke Skywalker incident.
Right.
It was massive, wasn't it?
It got the world talking, didn't it?
That was hopefully, instead of the white male patriarchy continually getting a boot in the bollocks, that was the white male patriarchy booting the mouse in the nuts.
Booting back, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the mouse has realised.
Yes, I think it sat up and took notice.
Thank God. So with all this podcast stuff, I've decided that the ideal kind of time for these is about an hour.
Yeah.
1 hour 30 tops if you kind of get carried away, but certainly no longer than that because you feel like you're outstaying your welcome.
Yeah, and of course, you know, everyone has other stuff to do as well, and you don't really want to stop everyone from carrying on with their business.
Originally I came on here just wanting to tell everybody what you're up to, and 55 minutes later, we've just kind of got off the sci-fi.
It's too easy. It's too easy to do, isn't it? Way too easy.
I know.
I could go on for another 2 hours about it all.
So, for the ladies and gents at home, what is, because you're an arty guy, yes?
I guess you could say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's your background? Where did you kind of come from your kind of artistic bits?
Well, I guess if I go back as far as when I was at college, I did graphic design for 2 years, then got into a job doing graphic design, very kind of low-level job. Then realized that wasn't going to go anywhere. So then I went to college and I wanted to get into video games. So I did a degree in that and then finished that 2 years of college, 2 years at university. Then I tried to get into the video games industry. That didn't work. So I've just done kind of freelance, if you like, graphic design based stuff ever since then. And I'm still kind of doing it on and off now alongside sort of jobs that have got absolutely nothing to do with it that I'm only doing for the cash, basically. But I love doing things like concept art, comic style art, character design, animation when I can, when you have time, because that's man, that's time consuming, you know, that kind of thing. And since I'm writing an alternative Star Wars episode 8/9 novel at the moment.
Wow.
I'm in the last sort of 20% of it. To sort of get my head around the look and feel of everything in it, I've designed the odd ship and character here and there as well.
Okay.
Of course, I've had to do it visually, so I've come up with a spaceship for Captain Phasma and a new sort of fighter for the Alliance and things like that. Just to kind of not to kind of illustrate it, but more to get my own head around how things would look, you know, the aesthetic of everything. So yeah, that's me basically.
I used to, when I was a child, teenager, I used to draw spaceships in a notebook.
Oh yeah, that's all I did when I was at school, was draw spaceships.
Yeah. Spaceships.
I'd write a page in English or something, and then at the side I'd be doodling spaceships. Or there'd be like a dirty mark from like someone's shoe that had collided with my book or something, and I'd see it and I'd think, that looks a bit like a spaceship. And then I'd just draw over it with a pen and sort of make it look like it's some kind of like Apollo landing vessel or something, you know?
Okay. So when are you hoping this Star Wars novel is finished?
It's so hard to say, because I could finish it in like 2 weeks' time, but this life is kind of going on at the same time.
Life gets in the way.
Yeah, it really does. I could sit here all day, every day, just ploughing myself into it and get it finished in like a couple of weeks. But there's so much other stuff that I've got to do as well. And the problem with writing, it's like almost like painting. You need to be in a flow, you know. Otherwise, if you're not in the zone for it, there's no point in even picking up a pen, or there's no point in even typing a letter, because you're not going to be writing what the story deserves. It doesn't, you know, it deserves to have your full attention and full imagination. And if you're not engaging in it on that level, you might as well not do it. So you need to have a proper time when you're in the zone, your head's in that space, and you've got to engage in it and finish it, you know. So I'm hoping, because I've got a lot of crap out of the way that I've been doing recently, I'm going to be able to sort of plow myself back into it again very soon.
Okay, so going back to Doomcock, you have done a couple of designs for Doomcock, have you not?
T-shirt designs.
Yeah. How did that come about?
I'm just trying to think now. I can't remember what the first one I did for him was. I think I was listening to a live stream, and he was talking to Harvey, and Harvey was just saying "plenty wampum," like, numerous times, and I just thought to myself, like, sounds like a good catchphrase, that. And I thought, what would that look like on a T-shirt? Plenty wampum. And I just thought, well, let's like sketch it out first, and let's quickly do a Harvey thing, and then see if I can get the words "plenty wampum" on there somewhere and see what it looks like. And it kind of just flowed into this design. It took a life of its own at the end. And
was that the first one? Was that the first one you did then? The "plenty wampum."
It might have been. I think it was that one, or it was actually the first one. Might have been was the creative license look of Doomcock punching the "without respect we reject" text flowing around him in a big circle.
I thought it was that one. Yeah,
that was probably technically the first, and then my mind was kind of, that's the one. There we go. And my mind was kind of in the whole zone of doing one of Harvey as well, because I love the catchphrase. So they're probably the first two, I think.
Listen, I must like you because I actually went out of my way to find those and do screen grabs.
Well done. Good find.
Yeah, I must admit, just a little, this between you and I know Doomcock's very proud of his helmet, but I think the helmets you've drawn are fantastic. If he just got something maybe just a little bit more kind of high tech, I think it's a winner chicken dinner for me.
I know what you mean. It's kind of, it just needs a little tweak and a little bit of...
a little bit of production. I think he said it last week on his show. He's up in the lights now. So yeah, he's up in the lights. So
because I know he made that one himself, and
papier mâché
out of just the materials that he had, and vacuum molding and things, and it's amazing for what it is. Really is amazing. But he's at the point now where he could afford to get one professionally made from somebody, and it would look just like movie quality.
I bet somebody'd even do it for him for free. Because
they would. I mean, if I had means to do it, I'd do it easily for him for free.
The thing is, if you're famous, you get stuff for free. If you're not, you have to pay for everything.
Yeah, because it's like an appreciation from people, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's as I said, he said it himself. He's up in the lights now. So your illustration of the helmet it's okay on this one. I like just bear with me. That one's fantastic.
That was taken directly from a picture of him. So all it takes is kind of a little bit of refinement and smoothing of edges and things like that, and maybe a little bit more symmetry applied to it and stuff, and then bingo, you've got it. He's practically there already. I think he just needs a higher grade of production applied to make him one, and it'll just look great.
Maybe it's down to the kind of metallic beige paint he's using.
Maybe, yeah. I think if it's just all down to the materials. I think if you've got the high grade materials, then it'll just fall into place.
Doomcock, you need to paint it silver at least, mate. Get a bit of sandpaper on it. Get them rough edges out. Paint it metallic silver.
It'll end up looking like one of those Microman figures from the 70s, the Takara Microman or Destro from G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I must admit, you have got great illustration skills, my friend.
I appreciate you telling me that because I'm doubting myself all the time.
I couldn't do anything like that. I'm very good at making jigsaws. Right. If you know what I mean, kind of. I'm very good at taking component parts.
Yeah, and piecing them together.
And polishing them turds and making them look good,
which isn't easy at all.
Whereas
to do.
You're coming in. You're
more composition, aren't you? I think.
Yeah, composition and polish.
Yeah.
Whereas you're in at the ground level, my friend.
Yeah, the sketching on the back of a beer mat kind of level.
Yeah, the brain training, the practice. Yeah, you're there, mate. It's really good, and Doomcock needs to get a helmet made like that because, for me, next level. But that's me.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's just you can at the moment.
I hope he doesn't take offense at this.
Oh, I'm sure he won't. Because that's his original version, and that's the thing that's given birth to everything. So it deserves all the praise that you can give it, really. But it does. You can see the rough edges and things because obviously it was like an amateur production job that he had to put together in a certain very limited amount of time with limited resources. And I'm sure now with that design, he could create something like absolutely incredible.
I bet there'd be somebody who'd do it for him. Like a 3D printed helmet or anything. Just DC, you need to go for it, mate. Right, and we'll just do the last one, and this is my personal favourite. I've just complimented you so many times over this.
Plenty wampum.
It's good.
It looks better on white, actually, but yeah, that makes it stand out a bit.
Yeah, when it's it's got to be on the right t-shirt color. I actually sold one of my somebody bought one of my t-shirts, which I couldn't believe. The kind of woke wank one. Which I thought was quite touching. But have you any idea how many of these have sold?
No idea at all. I think Doomcock might know because he'll get all the notifications from his.
Oh, of course he will. Yeah. Has he sent you one? Have you got any samples?
I've got samples. I've got a pile of of all the well, not all the shirts, but a lot of them, all folded up in my room at the moment. And
how many have you got then?
Oh God, I can't remember. Must be about. How many did he send me? It must be about 7 or something. But he did say that there were others in the mail as well, but they haven't arrived yet. But I don't know what to do with them at the moment because I don't want to put them.
I'll have one.
My cupboard is like rammed full of like existing T-shirts of sci-fi designs and things that they're like T-shirts that I don't want to wear because I don't want to crimple them up and I don't want to kind of fade the print and stuff. And that's your same, you know. I don't want to ruin them, you know. I don't want to soil any of them. I want to keep them.
Well, if you've got any in medium, I wouldn't say no.
Well, I'll have a look. I think all mine might be large, but I'll have a look just in case.
Because I've going on sizes. I've noticed. I was up in the loft the other week, and I noticed a huge bag of my old clothing from back in the day.
Wow!
From when I was at university, so it's like 30 years ago. And there was a jumper up there which looked like a bit of a Christmas jumper, and the size was large.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it on, and it fits me like a glove.
Wow, amazing!
And yet, if I wear anything that's large in today's large, it just hangs off me.
Yeah, I think sizes have just changed, haven't they, over the years?
They have. I would guesstimate it's gone up about 2 inches in 30 years.
People have expanded generally.
Yeah, because Adidas, their sizes are very generous sizes. So their large is 42 to 44.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas traditionally back in the day, large would be 42. So there is that. I think there's that 2 inches of extra size over the past 30 years. Yeah. And that's not a good thing, is it? So I buy medium now, and it just fits me perfect.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I kind of fluctuate between medium and large depending on the time of year, but large is always like a safe bet for me because it's like depending on if I'm working out or whatever, you kind of your chest might expand a bit or something like that.
Yeah,
it's just the difference that makes a difference, and it's like, oh damn it, this thing's too restrictive, you know. But obviously yourself, you don't have too much of a problem fitting into a medium, but me, I'm a bit too broad.
I've not been to the gym since March, and there's no local gyms where I am. Plus, I can't justify the money at the moment. Luckily, I've got a load of gym stuff in one of the rooms, so I may buy a weighted sandbag because you don't need a lot of equipment really
not really
just to keep mobile. If anything, you just need a little resistance and just kind of hit your body from different angles, just basically movements. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Right. So, as I said, if you've got one of those T-shirts, I'd be honoured. They are honestly, my friend. The Plenty Wampum is phenomenal.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Of course, I'm always being super critical about my own design, so I'm never going to say that. But it's nice, someone with a fresh perspective can say that about it.
Mate, it's good. It's good. See, I look at the other T-shirts, what you've done, and I think, okay, you could have maybe, but this one is fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be proud of that, mate.
No,
Doomcock must have loved it if he sent you half a dozen of them over. So,
Yeah, well, one of each of the designs. I mean, I've got the whole the Shepard Fairy kind of street graffiti one of the Obey spoof logo that I did with the black and white symbol Without Respect We Reject. Yeah, I got one
the
of
original
that.
one. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And basically all the must be about 5 or 6 of them, something like that. Anyway.
Okay, so is there any more kind of designs in the pipeline?
Not that I've done since the Winning the War on Woke one. I'm sure there'll be. I'm sure I'll get the inspiration pretty soon. There's always something that comes along that makes me think that'll work on a t-shirt. So.
Okay, and to kind of finish off, where can people find you?
I am on. I'm on Parler as Demonscythe Synthwave. On Twitter, Demonscythe Synth, and on Instagram, Demonscythe Synthwave. I do have a YouTube channel as well. I haven't uploaded for ages, but I really should do some more. It's just time because YouTube videos take ages to make.
They do.
And yeah, that's my presence online, but anyone can find me at any one of those places.
The reason why I'm doing these kind of open mic things is, other than a nice little sparkly background graphic, you basically just need to turn up and talk shit.
Yeah.
No production.
Right.
So
I just need doing it.
Yeah. I've got the time. We'll just see what happens. If people like it, you'll kind of figure out that people like it. If they don't, well, then just keep plugging away. Something you got to start somewhere.
I think I'm just thinking about how Gary at Nerdrotic started. Similar kind of thing,
I would imagine. Well, now he's just full time, and the thing is, he's got the subs now, so I would imagine he's making a nice. Which is a. Don't get me wrong, he's earned it. He knows the media industry, so he knows about all this stuff. So I would imagine he's doing all right for himself. Effectively, YouTube now, his channel is his full-time job.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you can't imagine him having much time for anything else with the output that he makes and the production on the videos and stuff, and the live streams of the Nerdrotic Nooners and Friday Night Tights and everything. It's a lot of time it takes out of your life. I can't imagine him doing anything else.
Yeah, I think with Doomcock as well, with what I've seen, I think he's at the level now where he might need somebody producing stuff for him.
I think he's getting there. You're right.
Trust me, I've asked.
Yeah.
Maybe I should ask him again because
don't stop asking. Just keep on with it.
I asked him pretty much at the beginning of lockdown. I said, "Look, I've got so much time on my hands. But then you just kind of start doing freebies for him, and then I don't listen. I don't want to float my own boat because I don't do such things. But his Friday Night Frolics is looking pretty fucking good these days. But there you go. That's just me.
Admit, it's taken a turn for the better aesthetically. I'll tell you that. Production has gone up, generously since you've got involved.
Yeah. Shall we? Okay. Shall we? I'll just do a little sneak preview of this week's. Hopefully, I hope he doesn't mind. I'm sure he wouldn't. Just, in fact, you're behind there, aren't you? So, let me do the overlay. Just bear with me. Here we go. There you go.
Nice. Yeah.
I've somebody. Yeah, I recognise that Doom Squirrel. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, that's I forgot about that. That's another one of my little t-shirt designs I did for Doomcock as well. Yeah, but I've just got the inspiration one day. I thought, I wonder what that looked like. So yeah, knocked out that design. But that looks great on there. It really works really well.
He's hopefully he'll use it. So yeah, yeah. If any, that's my lockdown creativity, figuring out how to do animation and stuff like that. So
that's incredibly productive and admirable. You're not sitting there watching soap operas, picking your feet and being and procrastinating and just lazing around. I think it's great what you're doing.
We need to come on another time and talk. I think we've had a nice talk about the light, the happy stuff.
Yeah.
So as you know, you and I have we've talked about this previously about the dark stuff, which I think maybe not today, but certainly another time, because I know with what's going on and especially being a male of our age, talking about the dark stuff, and this is serious. This serious point, ladies and gents, is the dark stuff. I think a lot of people of our age, especially male, as I said, male, they feel like sometimes they've got nobody to speak to, but they have. Trust me, there's people who are going through it, and yeah, I think we'll definitely do another stream another time about the more adult stuff. What do you think?
I think that's a really good idea. I know you've been through a certain amount of that kind of thing as far as the ringer goes. I know I have, and I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of people out there that appreciate hearing other people's experiences and be able to identify. And if I was in their position, listening to other people talk about it, I'd definitely tune in and listen and feel a good amount of solidarity and sympathy. And I think there's that kind of thing's a bit thin on the ground. Sympathy with what people are going through and understanding. So I think it's a great idea.
Shall we 1 hour 15? Shall we call it a draw?
That's a good amount of time there, I think.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
You're very welcome.
That's Demonscythe Synthwave, everybody. Bit of a mouthful, but
That's what she said. No.
Well, yeah, indeed. That's what she said. Okay, my friend. See you soon. Thanks, everybody. If you like this stuff, subscribe, share, etc. And if I don't speak to you between now and New Year 2021, let's hope it's better than this shithole of a year. So thanks, everybody. Adios.
Good night. Bye-bye.